Hey everybody, it's Margitt. I'm so glad to be back. I've missed making these videos. I missed you. And I'm going to try to do these more often. They just bring me so much joy. So this is my goal for 2021. I'm here to share my stories, to hopefully inspire you in any way. Just take what you need and leave the rest. But I feel that stories that are shared from one to another inspire us, they teach us, and I feel like that is part of my work right now. And so I really wanted to share some of these stories with you that have been going on. And today I'm going to be talking about my year with Dr. Joe Dispenza, meditating with him. I just came back from a week-long retreat a month ago, and I just wanted to tell you how I got there and my story, and hopefully this inspires you in some way. So it started, I had never heard about Joe Dispenza before. I did watch his documentary that was done decades ago called What the Bleep Do We Know? I mean, that was like years ago. And I didn't put the two together until just recently, actually. But I had heard about Dr. Joe Dispenza the first time and his work when I was ending my coaching calls with the health coach that I was working with. She was helping me through a lot of mold issues that I was having in my house and in my body. I was severely sick with digestive and congestive issues, and she basically said at the very end when everything was getting back to normal, Margitt, there isn't enough supplements on the planet to help you. I think it's all in your head. I feel like you need to get your superpowers and change the way your brain thinks. I think your brain is just on autopilot of being sick. And she goes, none of the supplements will help that. And she had just come from a Dr. Joe Dispenza workshop because she was curious about all this healing that was happening in his workshops. And she says, I think you need to get your superpowers. You need to change your brain, your neuroplasticity, and get out of that mode of always being sick. So this was the end, like, Christmas time, and I was like, okay, cool. The intentions of 2020 is I'm going to get my superpowers, and I'm going to change my neuroplasticity. And she told me a book that was not Joe Dispenza's on neuroplasticity, and I read it, but it was like no big deal and whatever. So at the time we were moving to London, I thought we were going to be moving there at least part-time. Full-time, my husband was working there, and we were looking at different neighborhoods to live in. And so my focus was just kind of on that, constantly traveling back and forth. And when I went to London the second time in January of 2020, I began to have a lot of anxiety because of the anniversary of my fibroid and my urine bladder issues. From the videos past that I've done on my fibroid had grown back, and it was putting a lot of pressure on my bladder, and I couldn't urinate, so I ended up with a catheter bag. And it was very, very traumatic to me. And so I was reliving a lot of this within a year. It had already been an anniversary, so I was really reliving the trauma and re-traumatizing myself. And I began to have a lot of pressure and pain in my uterus and bladder area. So I was in London when all this was going on, and I had scheduled a breathwork session with a guru in London, always wanting to go off the beaten path. That's just what I like to do. And I found this guy and said, yeah, let's do this. I'd never done breathwork before. And as I was traveling across London to his office, I remember having to take a couple trains and walking, and I was walking over this bridge, and I was having a lot of pressure with my bladder. And I remember on the bridge there was water running underneath me. I felt like the Blessed Mother just coming around me, and it stopped me in my tracks, and I felt so much love. And I just said, I know you're with me, Blessed Mother. I surrender. I surrender. If I need a hysterectomy, you need to take everything out. I'm going to be fine because you're going to be with me. And I'm going to be okay. And that was the first time that I had ever said that out loud to myself, because for over 10 years I had been fighting this procedure, hysterectomy. So I went to the breath work. This man was an angel, and continued to breathe in my bladder into my uterus, and just did so much work to just open it up and releasing old memories and pain and suffering, and a lot of it wasn't even mine. I know it wasn't mine. So that broke the beginning of a health crisis, I would say. It lasted probably a couple weeks where I just cried and prayed. I wasn't into Dr. Joe's meditations yet. I was just listening to a lot of theta music and stuff just to help me breathe deeper and just kind of release whatever was coming up. And I remember going home and just sobbing, just like, not like a crazy ugly cry, but just like tears and tears, just releasing whatever needed to come out. So I knew one of my mentors was giving a class on conscious teaching a couple days as soon as I had landed, and I had called her up saying, hey, is there any room? Can I please come? I just feel like I need to be there. And she said, yeah, come on in. And we have partners in this workshop. I've done it a couple times before, and it works. There's a lot of stuff that she talks about with the brain and 5D, and it's just such fascinating words. She's always learning and growing. And the one thing that we learn about is the Karpman drama triangle. I don't know if you can see that, but it is by Stephen Karpman. A lot of therapists use this triangle. It's been around since probably the late 70s. And I've used this dialogue with this triangle for many, many years, and it's helped me process through a lot of things that I was able to do on my own. So let's say I have a topic of, oh, my mom's pissed me off again, then I was able to dialogue, get myself in this triangle, and then get myself out by either realizing that I'm a victim, a bully, or a rescuer, and able to work myself through out of that. So it's a great tool. So I was partnered with this woman, and that I had never met before, and I was talking about my crisis, and she was getting me going down this dialogue into the triangle. And I realized in that moment on the phone with her that I can be a victim with a uterus. I can be a victim without a uterus. It's my addiction to victimhood that is the problem. It has nothing to do with my uterus. And I get to choose. What do I want to do? Do I want to continue to be a victim with a uterus or without a uterus, or not be a victim at all? Do I want to step out of this, whatever this is, this bigness that has been holding me? And it was huge. It was gigantuous, because I guess I haven't gone that deep before. I've done a lot of other things with my uterus. And we finished the dialogue, and we are sitting sisters, so we know how to hold space, and we know how not to judge, and to just, give advice, and you just hold them in love and allow them to process through that. And she's like, Margaret, I know we're not supposed to give advice. She goes, that was so powerful. She goes, can I just tell you 2 words? That's it. So I'm going to tell you. And I'm like, sure. I said, I know, I'm open. I'm open for anything. I'm open even to get a hysterectomy right now. So whatever you have is good. And she said, just 2 words, JoeDispenza. That's it. And I'm like, wow, I heard about Joe Dispenza just a couple weeks ago. What do you know about him? And she said, well, I went to his workshop a couple months ago. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the same. You were at the same conference that my health coach was at. And there's no coincidences, right? And she said, I had a wonderful experience. I don't want to tell you anymore. She goes, probably the best thing is just to look up his testimonials. So we hung up. I went right to the computer. I looked up testimonials. Well, there's like hundreds of them, right? So I just looked at a woman that was kind of similar in physique, like that kind of looked like me, and I went to her, and of course it was digestive issues, curing cancer with food and lifestyle. And until she started doing Joe Dispenza's work did she realize that she was living kind of like in the past with guilt, shame, and victimhood and all this kind of stuff. And when she was able to heal that, she was able to cure her cancer and her stomach issues. I'm like, okay, what do I got to lose here? I have nothing to lose because I have an appointment, coming up, and I already have an ultrasound, appointment, and I already know what that track looks like. So why not do something different? And so that, after I saw that testimonial, I had bought his progressive and advanced workshops that were online. They were like 24 videos. I had never read a Dr. Joe book. I have never watched any of his videos. They're all over YouTube. I've never watched a YouTube. I never watched him on Gaia TV. I've never watched him anywhere. I don't even know anybody except those 2 women that went to the workshop that didn't tell me anything about it. That it was about the brain and, neuroplasticity, blah, blah. So I dove in and totally binged Dr. Joe Dispenza, like in 5 days, watched over 24 videos. And as a nurse, it just I love the science piece of it. I love the body and I love the science. And I was like, God, this is it. Like, this is what I've been waiting for, man. This just makes sense. Like, what do I have to lose? What do I have to lose? So I bought the meditation after I was finished. It's like Blessing of the Energy Centers, #1. And I started doing it twice a day. And I really, really concentrated on my lower 2 chakras or energy centers, where my bladder and my uterus and my bowels and all of that sits. And just started really putting loving energy and focus and just loving that up. And eventually it was like that experience that I had a month or 2 ago in London, where I was going to have a hysterectomy. Like, I wasn't even on the same timeline. Like, my mind didn't even think the same way it had done before. And it wasn't like in a big jolt, like, oh my God, I'm not thinking about my fibroid anymore. It was like in a gentle, soft way, like, wow, this is really, like, it was just really cool. I'm so used to, in the past work that I've done, everything has been like a ripping Band-Aid off, like a big jolt, like that breath work has to be so hard. But this was just so gentle, and I was like, wow, man, there's something to this work. So soon after that, like, I don't know, a month later, COVID hit, and all of a sudden my house is just packed with adult children, a cat, and I'm just holding it together as the matriarch, cooking and just trying to hold space for everything that is in chaos. And I started meditating like 3 times a day, and it was my safe place. It was the place where I knew that everything was perfect. And I bought some more meditations and continued to do it. I wanted to do it longer. I wanted to meditate for more than an hour and a half. And it just seemed like it was my thing to do at this time. I knew that this is the only thing that I can do. I can hold the light while the world is in chaos. I can be the light. And so through the summer, I did a video on shame and forgiveness, and that was part of the healing of me clearing out these energy centers. Memories of shame had come up, and it wasn't in a reactive way like, oh my God, I got to fix this. It was more of like a letting go. And I had worked with a therapist, and I had called him back saying, I don't know, this was all this shame and da-da-da-da. And he knew that I was working with Joe Dispenza meditations, and he says, it's time to change how you think about shame. And you're releasing it, and we need to start thinking about shame in a different way. So he was able to coach me through that, and it was just fascinating that this was part of the healing that was showing up. Forgiveness had also come up, where I had to call a family member and saying, hey, I love you, please forgive me. We've hurt each other. Let's just put this in the past. Just out of the blue, I just had to do it. And it was just another release of this, all of my lower chakras or my lower energy centers, just wanting to release and be free of this past. So that was all happening through the summer. I knew that I was going to be the first one on Dr. Joe's list for his 1 week meditation. Because of COVID, everything had gotten canceled. I was manifesting that I was going to be there, and I was going to be one of the first ones. And literally, it was like, the time happened, the registration opened. I was in my car using my phone, which I never do. Like, I'm not that great with technology, but I did it. I paid for it. I did everything in a parking lot, knowing that I had to be one of the first people to register on that time. So I got in, and I knew I was ready for whatever was next. I just finished my week long about a month ago. Had a lot of resistance going in. I was triggered the shit out of me, like from the plane ride all the way to like the second day. I was just fucking triggered, man. Just like people, things, everything. And it was just for me to learn about continuing to focus on myself and to love myself. It's not about that person or that thing or that whatever. It is about me. And once I got over that hump of resisting myself and my distractions, I'll never forget the last test was like we had to climb up these stairs in order to get to this conference room. And I was having like this panic attack, and not a quite panic attack, but I was just like, oh, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Like, and then I remember this angel, this beautiful woman, says, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just really resistant. I couldn't even climb up the stairs to get to the room." And I said, "This is so big. It's so big. What's going to happen next? It's so big." And she just held me, and I knew I could do it. And so I walked up there, and I walked into that room, and I'm owning it. I'm going all in, and I'm owning this. I have been waiting lifetimes for this. Lifetimes. So I went into those meditations like nothing I've ever done before, and my whole world exploded. And I'm never going to be the same person ever again. I know that I've done this work before in many lifetimes, ancient lifetimes. This is our human right to have this power, to have these superpowers. So it's been magical. I had many mystical experiences there, meditating with over 1,000 people with a high vibration. You are so filled with so much love. The only thing that you want to do is give it away. It's just so big. I haven't talked about all my mystical experiences that I had. I just feel like I don't know. I want to keep them quite in my heart still. But one of them was I always had a hard time with people dying of COVID alone or dying in the hospital alone because of COVID. I'm a nurse, and I've seen a lot of death, and I've seen a lot of magic and mystery around the death dance, and I just couldn't believe that they wouldn't allow their family members to come in and say goodbye. And it crushed my heart, because it's not human to do that. And so during one of my mystical experiences that I had during meditation, I saw Archangel Michael and I taking swords, because all of these people were coming toward me with masks on, and I was kind of freaking out. And all of a sudden, this beam of light just showed up, and I had a sword, and Archangel Michael and I were taking them into the light. And so it just brought me a lot of peace that these people don't have to suffer trying to say goodbye to their loved ones anymore, that they can that they're in the light. And I know I sound like a freaking cuckoo bird, but that is real. And that is true to me. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. So that was one of them. And there's so many. If you go on their testimonials, they're just as crazy as mine. Some of them anyways. But I think we need to start talking about different dimensions, and we need to make, this is who we are. We're multi-dimensional beings, and we can't be pussyfooting around this subject anymore. Coming home, it has been quite amazing. I am loving life. I am recognizing when I'm triggered and falling back and getting up and seeing beauty in such a way that I feel so full again. I'm committed to my breath work. That was something that I did not want to do. I would fast forward it or skip it. But the breath work that we learn through Dr. Joe is very powerful. And I'm committed to that. I love the way I feel after meditating and doing breath work. I'm very focused on what I want to do and how I want to create my life, and that is amazing because I'm always the airhead Gemini being distracted. So that's been beautiful too, and that I'm enough, and this is enough, and I'm going to create my future and my reality. So it's been really powerful. There's plenty of books and videos. If it inspires you, you can easily for free go on YouTube and look at his testimonials or some of his speeches or just snippets from the retreat. And there's different avenues to get to the same way. I never believe that there's just a one way, but I know this way worked for me, and I have been waiting a long time for it. I'm giving away my crystals and my grids, and I took off all the astrology apps on my phone. I don't want to give my power away to anything but myself. And yeah, it's completely changed my life. So if you have any questions or concerns or want to contact me personally, please do, either through the comments or PM me, and we can talk about it. But there's just different, like I said, there's different avenues to get the same way, but this really worked for me, and it's easy in the research because I'm a science major, totally made sense. So I know we have been doing this work for a long time. I'm also a part of I've been doing coherence healing with Dr. Joe's global community, and I finally found my place as a healer, as a nurse. I tried for years to fit in, and I would get disciplined or yelled at because my way wasn't that way. And I knew that there was more than just pushing drugs through someone's arm to make their stomach pain go away. And we did nothing for them because they would show up again and again and again in the emergency room with the same pain. I did nothing for them except, give them pain medication, and didn't do any teachings, didn't do any counseling, did nothing for them. And so I feel now I can be of service in this way, and it feels really good. And hopefully I could be of service in other ways, being able to hold space for others, and I do. I even did that this morning. So I feel like this is the way that I want to heal or help heal, and be of service. So I love you. I hope you're all well and enjoying your beautiful day, and I will talk to you next week. I love you. Take care.